I know how much work goes into putting a song together, like this track. I'm lucky I get to enjoy the end result, and that's one of the best things about making music, getting to share it with everyone else. Now technology has made it easier than ever before to give your music a life of its own. No record contract necessary, the internet is waiting for you. There are loads of music sharing domains and social networking sites that you can upload your music to, and other sites that allow schools or colleges to release music under their own record label. You can actually share your song anytime while you're working on it. If you separate out your individual audio tracks, like the beat, the keys, the melody, you can upload these tracks, or stems as they're often called, to websites where other people can comment on your work in progress or even collaborate with you. You're best off uploading music formatted as an MP3, and if you're sure you found the sound you want and you're ready to share a finished track, you could think about mastering it. You can compress the audio channels so that the difference between the highest and lowest levels of the sound is reduced. That way, your track will sound as good as possible with everything from basic headphones to an expensive sound system. And that's it, right? No way. Your music now goes out into the world, out to all those different people listening, and has a life of its own. But even then the tracks can still develop and change, because as long as you have the permission of the artist, you can always remix tracks, and the possibilities for remixes are endless. I want to have a go myself, so I'm here at a new studio to make a remix of this great DJ Shadow track. And I'm going to get some help from my mate Club DJ, Rinse FM and Radio 1 host Monkey, who is popping by to give me some advice. So I really want to make my own remix. How do I get started?
Okay, the first thing you need to do is download the stems, which is basically like the individual parts which make up a track.
So I've already downloaded the stems off of the DJ Shadow track. I've got keys, I've got vocals, and I've got drums as well. It's really weird hearing a song you know really well broken down into different parts. Now that I've listened to the stems, where do I start?
So making a remix is kind of like starting from scratch. Because you've already got bits from the song, you've kind of got like a musical idea where to start from, but you have to make it your own. Where do you want to go with the song? Do you want to make it like a dance record or something a bit more ambient?
I want it to sound a bit housey, maybe a bit of garage in there as well. Just basically the kind of music I used to listen to when I was growing up.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is work out what BPM you want to start at, so what beats per minute.
So I've gone for 126 BPM, nice and up tempo. I was going to keep the kicks 4 to the floor, but maybe be a little bit more creative with the percussion and hi-hats, be like a bit skippy and on the offbeats. So this is what I got for my kick. And then introduce some hats. Some snares, percussion. Really go to town on the hi-hats.
So now you've got your beat on your timeline, let's listen to the vocal and see where it fits best.
I swear I saw a blue light. My feet followed it outside. And I thought I heard someone say you're flying far away. And when you reach up the sky.
So this vocal won't fit with the beat that you've got at the moment. So what you want to do is you can either like chop up the vocal to make it fit to the beat you've got, or loop it or stretch it, and that way it will fit better into what you're making.
So I figured out that the original is 84 BPM, and obviously I need to bump that up to 126. So what I'm going to do is time stretch it so it's in the right speed, but I'm also going to have to chop it up a little bit because it's a weird time signature. Once I've chopped up the vocal, I can put it in a sampler and I can play it on the keyboard like this. I like this because I can get a little bit more creative with ideas. Sometimes when you're just trying to do all of your edit on the computer, it can sound a little bit robotic, but this one, get a little bit more jazzy with it. So I've got a few different plugins that I like to use to get my bass line, depending on what kind of sound I'm going for. With this one, I want to make it sound a bit retro, a bit classic, like 90s garage.
Okay.
So I've got this. I've got that kind of sound that I like. I really like this one. It's like a keyboard hit of a chord. Sounds really good. And then underneath that, electric piano. And I always like really weird noises in songs. It's kind of my favorite thing. So I've got weird laser things. I like that. Nice texture.
So it's already starting to sound like it's got its own feel to it. It's really good that you have already started using certain plugins because that way you find your own sound. So now you should start looking at your structure. When you're first starting out, what a lot of people do is they get like a track that they really like and they put it at the bottom of all your channels, and then you kind of follow the structure of that song.
Well, the way that I work is I have to figure out what A is and C before I can get to B. A being my intro and C being the drop. I need to figure out those bits first before I figure out how to get into it.
Okay, so I know this sounds really odd, but it's also a good idea to sometimes scrap what you've done and start from the beginning. It's a really good way to like explore genres and really discover your sound, but always save what you've done in case you want to go back to it.
I swear I saw blue light.
You know, she's right. You can just keep experimenting and sharing musical ideas. I've taken this track and it's become this. Sounds completely different, right? Well, it's still not finished. There's more work I want to do. And technology and music are never standing still, and that's exactly the way it should be. Who knows what the music of the future is going to sound like, but you could be making it right now.